And your name is?
Adrian Scott.
Your occupation?
Consultant.
And your specialist subject?
The Scottish Enlightenment.
The Scottish Enlightenment, 2 minutes starting now. Which century saw the first flowering of the Scottish Enlightenment, characterised by an outpouring of intellectual, literary and scientific accomplishments?
The 18th century.
Yes. Which philosopher, notorious for his supposed atheism, fell into a bog near Edinburgh's New Town and was helped out by a local woman, but only after she had forced him to recite the Lord's Prayer?
David Hume.
Yes. Which reference work, first published in Edinburgh in 1768, sought to provide a complete summary of human knowledge?
The Encyclopaedia Britannica.
Yes. John Robertson met which instrument maker for the University of Glasgow and later recalled, "I saw a workman but was surprised to find a philosopher"?
Joseph Black.
James Watt. In which work of 1759 did Adam Smith describe the rich as being led by an invisible hand?
The Wealth of Nations.
The Theory of Moral Sentiments. What honorary title did Henry Home assume when he took his seat at the Court of Sessions in 1752?
Lord Kaimes.
Correct. In 1761, which Irish actor gave lectures on English elocution in Edinburgh that were attended by many prominent people?
Sheridan.
Yes. Thomas Reid, a leader of the Common Sense School of Scottish philosophy, began teaching at which city's university in 1751?
Aberdeen.
Yes. What was the name of the Jamaican who won his freedom in 1778 after a court in Edinburgh ruled that slavery was contrary to Scottish law?
Pass.
Which magazine was founded in 1802 by Sidney Smith, Francis Jeffrey and Henry Broome?
The Edinburgh Review.
Yes. Adam Smith accompanied a duke on a grand tour and was rewarded with a pension that funded his work on the wealth of nations. Who was the duke?
Duke of Buccleuch.
Yes. James Macpherson attributed the epic poems Fingal and Temora to which mythical Gaelic bard whose work he claimed to have translated?
Ossian.
Yes. Who served 6 terms as Lord Provost of Edinburgh and organised a company of volunteers to defend the city during the Jacobite Rising of 1745?
Pass.
In the mid-1720s, who established the first lending library in Britain at his shop in Edinburgh?
Pass, sorry.
The first 2 books of David Hume's Treatise of Human Nature were on, I finished the question, were on understanding and the passions. What was the subject of the 3rd book?
The History of England.
No, morals or morality. You had 3 passes. It was Alan Ramsay Sr. who established the first lending library. George Drummond served 6 terms as Lord Provost of Edinburgh, and Joseph Knight was the Jamaican who won his freedom in 1778. You have, Adrian Scott, 9 points. So, a very close first round there. Let's have a look at the scores. In 4th place, 9 points, Adrian Scott. 3rd place, 10 points, Philip Price. 2nd place, 11 points, Francis Chant. In the lead, 14 points, Maya Davis. The general knowledge round now, and if there is a tie at the end of it, then the number of passes get taken into account, and the contender with the fewer passes is the winner. The 6 highest scoring runners-up in this series will also claim a place in the semi-final. So let's get on with it and ask Adrian Scott to join us again, please. And you have 9 points with your specialist subject, the Scottish Enlightenment. Let's see how you get on with your general knowledge. 2.5 minutes starting now. Which country was officially known as Siam until 1939?
Thailand.
Correct. The Narnia window in Holy Trinity Church, Headington Quarry, Oxford, is a memorial to which writer?
C.S. Lewis.
Yes. What collective name is given to the 6 northeastern states of America?
New England.
Correct. Which aromatic herb with narrow elongated green leaves is a standard element of fine herb and is often used to flavour vinegar?
Rosemary.
Tarragon. Which river rises on Cross Fell in the Pennines and flows over the High Force waterfall before continuing to the North Sea?
The Aire.
The Tees. What nickname did Richard Neville, the first Earl of Warwick, acquire because of his political machinations during the Wars of the Roses?
Kingmaker.
Correct. In Dad's Army, which character's wife Elizabeth was never seen, although she was often on the phone to him?
Captain Mannering.
Yes. The footballers Tommy Hutchison and Des Walker have both scored own goals in the FA Cup final. Which team were the opponents on both occasions?
Arsenal.
Tottenham. What Latin phrase was used by the Venetians to denote the land they controlled on the Italian mainland?
Pass.
Which band reached #1 in the UK album charts in January 1977 with Arrival?
Led Zeppelin.
ABBA. Which Chinese revolutionary leader served as the country's first provisional president after the overthrow of the Manchu dynasty in 1911?
Sun Yat-sen.
Correct. Whose novel Shirley, first published in 1849, is set against the background of the Luddite riots?
Pass.
Which Roman historian is best known by his nickname, a word meaning silent, despite the fact that he was a renowned public speaker?
Cicero.
Tacitus. A jade is an archaic word for a bad-tempered woman or an inferior, worn-out specimen of what animal?
Donkey.
Yes, or horse. In which opera by Verdi do the gypsies sing the Anvil chorus as they celebrate their return to work?
Trovatore.
Yes. Which organisation has the flagship THV Patricia, whose duties include the maintenance of offshore lighthouses?
Trinity House.
Yes. In architecture, what name is used for a semicircular window with radiating glazing bars, usually over a door?
Oriel.
A fanlight. Which 1947 film starring Richard Attenborough as the teenage psychopath Pinky was remade in 2010 starring Sam Riley?
Pass.
Which Merseyside constituency did Harold Wilson represent from 1950 to 83?
Huyton.
Yes. What is the common name for the species of shark characterised by the flattened extensions of their heads with their eyes at the ends?
Hammerhead.
Correct. A bust of which composer is featured on the Austrian €1 coin?
Mozart.
Yes. David Lodge, I've started so I'll finish, set some of his novels in the fictional city of Rummidge. The setting's based on which Midlands university where he taught English literature for many years?
Nottingham.
Birmingham. 3 passes. That 47 film starring Richard Attenborough was Brighton Rock. It was Charlotte Bronte who wrote Shirley, and the Latin phrase used by the Venetians was terra firma. 3 passes, Adrian Scott. You now have a total of 21 points. And now Philip Price again, please. And you begin with 10 points, your knowledge of the Loire Valley wines. 2.5 minutes, general knowledge starting now. What colour flag is an established symbol of socialism or communism?
Red.
Yes. Which Hampshire town has hosted a biennial international air show since 1948?
Farnborough.
Correct. Which portly knight appears in Shakespeare's Henry IV parts 1 and 2 and The Merry Wives of Windsor, while his death is reported in Henry V?
John Falstaff.
Yes. What alternative name for a black leopard is also applied in North America to a puma or cougar?
Pass.
Which Sicilian composer, who died aged 33 in 1835, composed operas including Il Pirata and I Puritani?
Donizetti.
Bellini. Which cocktail, normally made from white rum, coconut milk and pineapple juice, considered the official cocktail of Puerto Rico?
Cobalubri.
Pina colada. What word for an unwholesome smell or atmosphere comes from the Greek for defilement?
Pass.
In 1990, which Conservative politician proposed his controversial cricket test when he questioned the loyalty of immigrants and their children who supported teams from their countries of origin?
Pass.
Which motor racing circuit's on a former airfield south of Towcester in Northamptonshire?
Silverstone.
Yes, at the Battle of Bunker Hill, the American general Israel Putnam is said to have ordered his troops not to fire on the enemy until they could see what?
The whites of their eyes.
Yes, which Mexican artist noted for her brilliantly coloured self-portraits was twice married to her fellow artist Diego Rivera?
Pass.
In linguistics, an acute accent is represented by an upward sloping line. What accent is represented by a downward sloping line?
Pass.
Who was finally buried in March 2001 after his boat was raised from Coniston Water after 34 years?
Donald Campbell.
Yes, which 1988 film starring Glenn Close and John Malkovich is based on a 1782 novel by Pierre Chodelot de Laclos?
Pass.
Which celestial body is the particular concern of the branch of astronomy known as selenology?
Milky Way.
The Moon. On radio, which special agent's sidekicks were Snowy White and Jock Anderson?
Dan Dare.
Dick Barton. In ancient Greece, which city-state was characterised by its rigorous military discipline?
Sparta.
Yes, which simple musical instrument consists of a small tapered pipe with a hole in it, over which is stretched the thin membrane that vibrates when the player sings or hums into the pipe?
Pass.
Princess Margaret called off her engagement in 1955, saying she was mindful of the Church's teaching that Christian marriage is indissoluble. Who was she marrying?
No, I can't remember.
Well, I'll tell you, because we're out of time. It was Group Captain Peter Tan.